Greetings, folks. This is Wood Stove Woody here, Pyromaniac Extraordinaire. I'm looking at the firebox of the Esse Ironheart. This video is how to remove the refractory. And to do that, you'll have to remove the steel baffle that's in the top and a couple other components. What you'll notice is there are grooves cut in the brick kit, which is refractory, which looks like a fireplace. If you have the OEM brick kit, you won't have the grooves that are cut in the brick. That is something that's inclusive to Obadiah's, so that'll be the difference. And there's a couple other things that I'll show you as I disassemble. Other than that, essentially this is the firebox as it comes from the factory, and with my brick kit in it, with the steel baffle. So it's essentially the same, just looks a little nicer and a couple differences. Instead of having 3 panels on the side, you only have 2. The reason being, it's less likely to break that way. You still actually have 3 because there's a little piece here. This is optional. These pieces here, which are 3 extra pieces, and the reason I have them is my clients would tell me when they would load the wood, and if there was a stub on the end of the wood and they went to stick it in and it would hit, and then it would catch the brick and then break it. So my thought is filling that space, you hit the steel and then across you would go. So that's the idea. So anyhow, those are the differences. Let me get down to business here. First thing you're going to do, reach inside, pull this guy out. Of course your stove is not going to be brand new, and it's going to be dirty. So you probably want some gloves. Clean all the ashes out that you can. Try to clean the stove out. Your refractory is not going to be in the same condition mine is. It's not going to be new. If you're taking this apart, good chances you want to replace all this stuff, and I'm going to show you how it comes apart and then how to put it back together. On my kit, you have this guy here, which you won't have. Once that part is out, your side parts come out, and then you have your cast iron grates. See, these grates are cast iron, they're 1 inch thick, they're very heavy, probably 20 pounds each. Don't drop it on your toe. You slide it out like this, rest it on the edge of your stove, drag it out, and then just teeter-totter it. Just take it from there down to the floor. Slide it forward, do the same thing. Now comes the tricky part. I recommend that you have something that you can wedge up inside that's about that long. The idea is you have to support that steel thing above, and that is a baffle. And the baffle itself is another story. It's made of steel. You can see the gauge here. We make replacement baffles that fit up here that are thicker and heavier. These are designed to be sacrificial. You can see that they're on an angle and they're pretty heavy. What I recommend you do to get that rear one out of there is it's basically fit in. You push it in and it just fits there. And the baffle holds it in place, and it carries the weight of the baffle. If you load your firebox and you throw the wood in, you're going to bust the back refractory, and then the baffle will fall. I would recommend buying 2 rear baffles and sticking a second one in behind it, because that one takes a lot of abuse. And that would just be my advice if you're going to keep this system. So if your upper baffle is all mangled, give Obadiah a call and we'd be happy to sell you a replacement. You can go with the OEM one, which is this gauge, or our thicker one. So let's get this guy out of here. Now what I did was just a little trick, is I put a screw on the bottom, and yours is going to be different. This refractory is vermiculite, has not been fired, so it's very similar to particle board in its consistency. It can be cut on a table saw just like particle board, and it's very similar in how you handle it. So it's actually a little bit flexible, but once it's fired it gets brittle, so putting a screw into it could be a problem. But if it's, you know, older refractory, you can just take a screwdriver and chip off a corner and then get your finger in there and dig it out. It's probably going to crumble anyhow. So let me get this baffle out of here. And what I do is you take that and you just kind of wedge it in there like that, and it picks it up. You can see there's a gap. Make sure you have that gap. You're not supporting the baffle by the refractory. Now comes the tricky part. Pull the baffle out, not the baffle, the refractory, without pulling the plate down. Like that. Okay, I'm going to cheat and go in from the top, because I got a camera in my way here and it makes it really difficult. So I supported it. You can take off the hob and reach in from the top. There's your baffle. That's a heavy guy. Now, you have to get the baffle out in order to get the brick out. Okay, and the rest of it's real easy. You start from the front and pull it out at the bottom and tip it out. Now this gives you a picture of the upper refractory, and that serves the purpose of helping to lock the fire brick or refractory panels into place. So now you just slide this guy out. I'm cheating. I told you I was going to only go in from the front, but because I have a camera here, pulling these panels out this way is too difficult without hitting the camera. But anyhow, you get the idea. And now you have one more refractory back here. So the factory refractory is flat. Mine's got brick grooves cut in it. There you have it. That is how to remove the refractory out of your Ironheart. You saw how easy it was by pulling the side panel off. There's only 9 bolts that hold that on. I've made videos all about that. That is a unique thing about this firebox, and it does make it much easier to access it. So if you can, take the time, 11 bolts all together, maybe an extra half hour. It'll save you a lot of time. It'll make it a lot easier. Otherwise it can all be done from the front. So there's the trick on how to take it apart. Now we're going to put it back together. That'll be in the next video.